Nervous, man. We usually don't have company with
I
us.
usually have no clue what we're talking about, so this is a first.
You like to be off the cuff, don't
I like
you?
to wing it. I'm good. I'm ready.
All right, well, we'll go ahead and get it started. Welcome back into another episode of Where the Game Lives On, the official podcast of the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame. We're doing things a little different today, B-Shive.
We are.
We got a couple guests with us, a couple interns that have started listening to the podcast, right? And decided, hey, we kind of want to know what that's about. Join in.
Still waiting for that thumbs up from either one of them, but that's fine. That's fine. Whatever.
Well, hey, let's introduce you guys to the listeners, and we'll go from there. So, Taton, go ahead.
Yeah, my name is Taton Hopkins. I just graduated in May from Evangel University here in Springfield. I'm originally from the Tulsa area. Got a degree in marketing and played football and golf at Evangel. And I'm starting my MBA at Missouri State here in August.
Awesome. And you good, sir?
Yeah, my name is Eli Roberts. I am from Bolivar, Missouri. I will be a junior at Drury University here in Springfield in the fall, where I play rugby, and I am a marketing and management major.
That gets me. That gets me every time. You got a rugby
two
guy
things.
and a two-sporter.
We got a two-sporter, golf and football, which is not often the two combo. So how did you go from one of the? Did you play both at the same time, or start with one and go to another?
No, I actually started with one. So I had the opportunity to play both coming out of high school. Decided football was probably the route to go for me, just because I thought maybe two sports would be too much. Played football for the first 2 years. Ended up having some health issues and couldn't play anymore.
What position did you play?
I was safety.
Safety, okay.
Free safety.
Right.
And then Coach Jenkins at Evangel, golf coach, was gracious enough to let me hop on over, and kind of everything went from there.
Very cool. Very cool. So rugby, right? So I know you were a football guy in high school, but how did you make that transition?
I was. My dad played rugby in college, and that's something you can do after college, just with the clubs around, really wherever you are. I knew that Drury was getting a rugby program, and I actually made a joke about playing rugby in front of one of my buddies whose sister works with my coach, and out of the blue, like 3 days later, I got a text from my coach, and I kind of ran with it.
And you're just playing rugby.
How would you describe, what's the biggest difference? If you were explaining to someone that doesn't know anything about rugby, what's, like, they think, oh, well, is that kind of like football? How would you describe rugby compared to football? Or if you were, what's the 30-second explanation of what rugby is?
A lot of people like to make the comparison to football because there's that aspect of tackling. But it really is just a little bit like everything. The positioning in rugby was one of the biggest things that I had to learn, because if you're out of position, it can throw the whole game off. Everybody's in a line and you have to pass the ball backwards like a lateral in football. So the whole game is just trying to open up gaps. There's no blocking. You can't block. So you have to open up your own gaps. But no, it's a little bit like football. You could say it's a little like soccer. The lines you run are a little bit like basketball, so it's a little bit of everything, but it's a good time.
Interesting.
It's so weird because it's kind of like Premier League. Like, if you want to catch rugby on, you got to watch it like early on a Saturday or something like that. But I've always had interest in the sport, just never found myself really like kind of looking into what it entails and all of that. But I'm very surprised to learn that we have it in the States, or that it's abundant enough. It's a Drury.
Yeah, we've actually had nominations, I believe, for
rugby guys.
Yeah,
here in Missouri.
Correct.
Really, very interesting. Very interesting. So if you didn't pick up on it, these two cats are interns of the Hall of Fame. They are joining us for the summertime while we're getting ready for the Price Cutter Charity Championship.
1976. What are we dropping?
These cats. These cats. Eli and Taton. Is that better? No. So I guess before we kind of get into a little bit of sports talk, just kind of tell us what you guys are looking forward to most about the internship here and what you're hoping to get from it.
It ending is not the correct answer.
Yeah. Whoever wants to start, go ahead.
Yeah, no, we were talking yesterday. We feel like it's just kind of flown by. I mean, less than about 30 days and it's over. But yeah, I mean, I'm just excited. I've met a lot of great people this summer already. That trying to network and figure out kind of what I'm going to do post school. Kind kind of with my career wise. So I think the biggest thing like I've been looking forward to with this whole internship is just like the networking aspect of it. I think that so many great people walk in these doors that have influence in the area and that I can learn from. And there's also people like working here that I've been able to learn a lot from and gain a lot of like uh, knowledge about kind of how the marketing world works, and where I can take that and go with that post school.
Very cool. You're in a different position though, because you're still going back to school. But how does that relate to kind of how you're viewing the internship?
Aside from the regular intern things like cold calls and picking up Noah Tucker's lunch and things like that.
Wait, that's
okay. If anybody has done that though, it's Tate.
Noah loves a good DoorDash.
That's an option. I didn't know that we could do that.
But no, I think the experience here is very valuable. Just the hands-on aspect. We get to be pretty involved with a lot of the events that we do. Some pretty cool events like our first week, we woke up at 4 a.m. and went to Kansas City for an enshrinement. Got to meet a lot of cool people. But yeah, there's obviously the networking aspect like Taton talked about. And from my end, I'm just trying to use some of this knowledge to further myself into my degree.
For sure. We're going to get in trouble with labor laws here.
So wait a minute.
This was their plan all along. They were going to get on here and expose me.
Bust us. Yeah.
Literally, like
pick up Noah's lunch.
I think that's your only rule for the interns. Yeah. It's like, hey, don't have them doing things like go get your lunch and stuff.
Well, I didn't know it was an option.
I do it tastefully. I'll be like,
I'll bet you did.
I'll be like,
I see what you did there. Lunch tastefully. I got you.
I'll be like, hey, man, I don't think I have time to go to lunch. Anybody picking something up? Taton, you stopping somewhere? And then but guilty, honestly. Man, what a wild night it was Monday night. Yeah. All the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame connections that we ended up seeing. You had the College World Series.
Tony Vitello leads UT to their first national championship, the first overall 1 seed to win it in like 20-some years.
Is that really?
I think Miami in like 03 or something was the last 1 seed to win it.
I saw that they were the first 60-win team to win it since like 87.
They were loaded top to bottom. They didn't have a easy out in the lineup, but Tony Vitello was kind of cool seeing him. We just inducted his dad, Greg Vitello, longtime coach at DeSmet in St. Louis. And them hugging after the game was pretty cool. And so Tony Vitello is on his way to the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame one day. Then, of course, Stanley Cup. It was exciting. You get yourself a Game 7. You don't get the first 03 comeback in history, but do get a Kachuk in the winner's circle, though.
Yeah, and that was cool. We've talked with Keith several times. He's somebody who's definitely on the radar and going to be, probably around this place here pretty soon. But yeah, it was just weird flipping channels being like, oh, I know that guy. Yeah. Oh, I know that guy. Oh, that's so cool. Just a lot of, then you throw Jason Tatum in there. So there's a lot of St. Louis influence in the recent
couple of Chaminade guys and a DeSmet guy. So
yeah, very cool. We'll get back to the Stanley Cup. I want to review some stuff from this past weekend, also some stuff that's coming up. We've got NBA draft tonight, day of release. Man, I'm hoping these guys can fill me in, honestly, because I don't know who is coming up, who's the big name, who's the number one projected.
Well, it used to be that, you had to know who the foreign guys were for the second round because they would take a flyer in the second round. Now it's like top 10's dominated by these foreign guys. So
yeah, Eli, you tell me, man, who are we looking for?
Who's the number one pick tonight?
Who's the boomer bust guy?
Well, I'm a huge basketball fan, so I'm pretty involved with the NBA draft. It's one of my favorite times. Just kind of for the fact that anybody could be a boomer bust pick. Guys like LeBron James or Anthony Edwards going number 1 overall. But then you have guys like Jimmy Butler who went pick 30, or Nikola Jokic, who's pretty consensusly the best player in the league. He was a second-round pick.
He was probably the best second-round pick in history, I would say. So
yeah. So a couple of the players that I'm super excited to see. Starting with the Kentucky boys and Reed Shepherd and Rob Dillingham.
Well, he knows how to fit on his podcast, doesn't
he? Yes, sir. Let's get this guy back on.
Yeah, so obviously Reed Shepherd, he was all SEC freshman of the year. I think he's supposed to go around number 3 to the Houston Rockets. But the one that's pretty interesting to me is Rob Dillingham. I think that he is one of, if not the most talented player in this draft. And the interesting thing is I've continued to see him fall on draft boards for whatever reason. And I think that could be pretty dangerous. If you got...
He's the type of guy that can drop 30 on you without even breaking a sweat or go 0 for 16. He's just I don't know if boom or bust, because I do think he'll have a career, but he can light it up, but he can shoot you out of a game too.
Yeah, I think he's electric, and I think for some of these teams in the lottery, if you're going to pass on him and let him fall to a Miami Heat at 15 or the Sixers at 16, that could be
good for him though. Better fit, a little bit more of a contender and whatnot. Do you see that? You see that happening at all? Could he possibly fall out of the lottery?
I don't know. I mean, there are a lot of guys in the lottery.
What is that? Top 12 picks? Or lottery?
Yeah.
14,
12, 14?
I don't know.
See, we need the computer guy that just, hey, look that up.
You start getting the laptops out. Like I said, there are a lot of good players in this draft. A really good story. Dalton Connect. I don't know if you know that name. Kid from Tennessee. He started playing JUCO ball, So he spent a year at JUCO, transferred to Northern Colorado for 2 years, and then, finally got that Power 5 call from Tennessee. And
he was the SEC Player of the Year, wasn't he?
Yeah,
I think he was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's more common in other sports. I feel like not so much basketball.
Just watching SEC basketball this year, he obviously came out of nowhere. At least I'd never heard of him. SEC Player of the Year, but he's ranked lower than Reed Shepherd. Reed obviously had a great season as well, but didn't even start.
Right. Well, and I think that kind of goes along with the mold of a lot of NBA teams and lottery picks want to be one and done. Dalton Connect's 23 years old. Yeah. Shepherd's 19. So there's the youth aspect. But
so they got the 4 extra years or so. Okay.
Right.
And I think the modern NBA, of course, I think Dalton Connect fits in it because he can shoot threes or drive. But that was just one thing, because I saw Dalton Connect play several times, and this guy could light it up. He was impressive. So,
all right, we'll keep it rolling here. I want to end this conversation though real quickly. Bronny James does or doesn't get drafted.
Speaking of
and
bust,
where at does he?
Oh, he gets drafted, guaranteed.
Yeah, I would say that he does get drafted. I personally wouldn't use a first rounder on him, but we talk about some of these picks that just work out in the second round.
Lakers.
I don't know if we saw
whatever.
Yeah, I don't know if we saw enough from him at USC, because he obviously had that heart issue before the season, so maybe that limited his minutes. All the reports are saying that he did well in the combine, but yeah, I think second round pick, early second round.
Hop in on this. What do you think?
I'm just wondering how much LeBron affects where he goes. He's a free agent now.
Yeah, his agent keeps hitting it though. Like
that was going to be my question: is wherever he winds up, is LeBron James?
Yeah,
I heard one thing that the Celtics were going to take him.
I'd heard that too.
Just because
I'd heard that too. Yeah, which would be wild.
That's petty. I'm here for petty
for LeBron. It would be. We'll see. We'll get the breakdown. Probably catch up on it next week. But we're gonna shift gears to a little golf from this past weekend. Do you know? Random here. Do you know what the term heater means? Like a heater?
Like he's on a heater?
He's on a heater.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know if that was like a new term.
It is a new term, but I've heard of it.
Yeah.
Just because I'm old doesn't mean I haven't heard the new terms. Cat.
Apparently, David. Fair enough. Hey, nope, you're right. Fair enough. David Portnoy been on a heater, from what I've heard. That's my insight from my interns.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Man, no, we'll get Taton in on this a little bit more here. You're the golf guy. Scotty, my goodness. I saw a statistic. It said Scotty's been world number 1 for 90 weeks.
700 days without a miscut.
He's got 13 years to catch up with Tiger.
He's got a long way to go. But
yeah. No, break down the weekend for us a little bit. Why don't you?
Yeah. Scotty won in a playoff. Tom Kim. Yeah, they're great friends. But I think the crazy thing is, I was picking Scotty this week just coming off 41st at the Masters, or not at the Masters, at the U.S. Open. The last few weeks for him, won the Masters, had a kid, got arrested, got the charges dropped, win 41st win. So I think,
what's he got, like 11 or 12 wins this year already? Isn't it like 11 since January?
It's 6. He has 6 this year. He has 11 top 10s.
Okay, I saw a stat something that he had won 11 times since some date, and he had won more than the Chicago Bears. He had won more than the Washington Commanders. It was like one of those stats that he had more wins than these NFL teams did. So maybe it was since the beginning of the fall last year, since the season started.
Yeah, since the season started. Yeah,
and that's just what is amazing about the stats is Tiger Woods. You still got to just what he did. But I'll ask you this question: is what he's doing as impressive based on the competition, or obviously Tiger's in his own league. So.
Yeah, I think Tiger. I don't know that anyone will ever touch Tiger's records.
No, I agree.
It's just Tiger's the GOAT. I don't know that the competition's any different. I mean, looking back now, Tiger had Jim Furyk, Phil, all of them in their prime back then. But I mean, Scotty right now has Xander Schauffele chasing his tail. Wyndham Clark earlier this year.
Aberg is pretty. I mean, he's on the come up.
Yeah, very good. Bryson in USGA events. So yeah, I don't know that it's any more or any less impressive. I think that
he's dominant.
In a short sample size, I would say it's equivalent to streaks that we've seen Tiger.
I 100% agree. I think the longevity aspect of it is going to be the deciding factor.
Yeah, and I think we've gone back to that on this podcast before, just talking about that's the thing about Tiger is Jeremy Lin, right? Not to just totally shift gears, but you can see people have success in a given amount of time, but then to do it just continually for weeks, months, years, make cuts nonstop. It's crazy to think.
Mania.
Yeah. Or no, Linsanity.
Linsanity, that's what it was.
Yeah. I think Scotty has a good start to it. I just think as long as he can keep this going, we can put him in that conversation.
What do you think about this? Also came out this week. Tiger Woods at the tour announced has a lifetime exemption into whatever tournament he wants to play. What do you think about that? I mean, I know why they did it.
I don't know what it matters at this point.
Yeah, Tiger brings money, but he's not going to make cuts. I mean,
so why do you do it?
Sells tickets.
Like I said, I understand why they did it. It's money, but do you think that they should have done it? I guess is a question.
I'm going to say no.
Yeah,
I'm going to say no.
kind of. I mean, I know why they did it.
You're taking a spot from like one of our upcoming Corn Ferry guys that could get it.
Yeah, isn't he going to go to the Seniors Tour here soon?
I don't know. I don't know that he'll play in every tournament. I know why they did it. It was a money thing. I mean, it's certainly he's the GOAT, and it's kind of like a nod to that. But
this is my first hearing of it.
Yeah, I don't know that I agreed with why they did it. I mean, it takes spots. I don't know.
Well, but if you remember him making the cut at the Masters, being completely out of the race, and then having a full gallery at 7 a.m. on Sunday.
Yeah,
that's why they do it.
Oh, it's 100% why they do it. I know why they do it.
Yeah.
He's withdrawn from most of the tournaments he's played in once he's made it to the weekend. So,
well, and I mentioned the Seniors Tour. I don't even know if he'll play on the Seniors Tour. His body's so just torn up.
He'll probably have a higher chance of getting a cart on the Seniors Tour. And I think walking is his problem. Because Augusta's so hilly when he was at the Masters and had to do the whole PT physical therapy thing on the course. It wasn't from swinging; it was his legs from walking.
Really?
So,
man, we never think of that. Like you've walked, you've carried your bag. Every time I play golf, are you walking 9? Are you going out and walking 9?
I mean, not every day. I've done it. I've walked 18 before.
We used to have to do 36 holers walking.
I have a golf snob wall. The places I play make you walk. So
really,
I wish.
I didn't know that. There's places where you're like, yeah, no, you don't get carts here?
Yeah, 100%.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hire a caddy.
Bandon Dunes. Yep. It's a walking. You're walking 18. You're walking 36 if you play twice, which we did. So.
Wow. I've never gotten to that. I've never hit that threshold.
Paynes Valley. I guess we have carts there.
Kivara, they made us riding carts.
Where
you played it?
Kivara, yeah. You had to ride carts there.
This course is not on that level, but somebody was telling me they were trying to have a Misha golf event at Ledgestone. And they wouldn't let him do it because the walking, because the elevation change.
Cypress Point, I don't even think they own carts at Cypress Point.
Really?
You got to walk there.
Old school.
Yeah.
Old school.
That's when you know you're at a wall-worthy course, as I call it.
I like that wall-worthy course. We've got some golf coming up at I would call it a wall-worthy course.
Yes.
If there's one here in
Price
Southwest Missouri.
Charity Championship.
Yeah.
Presented by Dr. Pepper.
That's right. Harry Higgs, huh?
Harry Higgs.
We're hoping to see him.
2017 winner of the Price Cutter Charity Championship, and is officially going back to the PGA Tour after this weekend. He is assured to finish in the top 25, I believe it is. He has a couple wins already, and hopefully he's from the Kansas City area, but and actually won up there this year. But hopefully he'll be back here in Springfield.
So by the end of the season, I want to make sure I know this. I should. By the end of the season, he'll be high enough that he's getting his tour card.
He's guaranteed.
But can he still battlefield promote?
Yes, if he wins again, he goes straight to the tour. As it stands currently, he plays out the Korn Ferry season and goes next year. He's guaranteed to go next year, but could get the battlefield promotion if he wins one more time.
Harry, if you're listening to this podcast,
yes,
let's get you that battlefield promotion.
Yes.
July 18th through the 21st.
Right here in Springfield.
let's get him back to 16 at the Waste
Stop
Management.
into where the game lives on, Harry, and we'll give you some good luck as you head towards a victory on Sunday,
No,
perhaps.
seriously. That would be so cool, though. Just being somewhere that he's won.
Yep.
It's his home state. He won earlier this year in Kansas City. That'd be pretty sweet.
Well, technically, Kansas is his home state. He did go to
really?
Blue Valley area, which is across the line, but...
Darn. Here I thought I was like, I was just, whatever. It's cool. It's cool. What are you guys looking forward to about the tournament?
I mean, I just love being around golf. It's going to be a lot of it. So I think just that aspect of it, just seeing golf played every day for pretty much the entire month of July.
Yeah, for me, it's kind of hard to know what to expect with a tournament this big. But what I've really enjoyed over the last tournaments is just being able to see all the work that you do come to light.
It's kind of like the next 2.5 weeks are going to be a blur. It's going to be early mornings. It's going to be long days. It's going to be hot. But when we actually get to the tournament, it is a lot of fun. I encourage you guys just to ride around and take it all in. If you get a chance, and I'm sure that Carl, our walking score coordinator, will gladly accept you. If you get a chance to walking score, I would advise you to do it. It's a blast. It's something that you just can't do any other day. And you can always look back and say, hey, I walking scored for whoever it is you're in. So anyway, I would recommend you do that too.
And you could walking score for the next Scotty Scheffler.
Yeah. You just don't
know.
You could
walking score for Harry Higgs or somebody like that.
Or some guy that is not going to be on tour next year. So you just don't know.
Very possible. Very possible. It's a really cool experience. I'm excited for you guys to be able to just kind of be a part of the busyness, right? There's a huge team aspect from our standpoint on it that is really enjoyable when we all buy into it. By the time you get to the tournament, it's really kind of what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
That sort of gratifying kind of, wow, man, like we've been doing all this stuff and this is what it's for. And it's really cool. Another thing that is really fun, and I know that you guys are furthering your education and stuff and whatnot, but in November, we have the Celebration of Sharing, which is basically the culmination of the Price Cutter calendar. And it's more so from the charitable aspect, which is what our tournament's most known for. So it's a weird connection to make that, hey, playing golf and supporting and going and watching golf helps raise money and helps kids in this community. But that's a cool thing that's what we get to do.
Everything that we do, whether it's hanging a banner or buying a golf team or getting a skybox, whatever it is, it's all geared towards the charities and raising money. And even though, like you're going to be working hard, you're going to be getting up early and you're going to be doing a lot of things and it's going to be grunt work and you're going to sweat and you're going to stop sweating. You're going to sweat 15 different times a day. But in November, when we get to hand out checks to the charities and see the smiles on their faces, that's when it's all comes full circle. And it's all those late morning or early mornings and late nights are worth it. So
who came up with the name Price Cutter, like the charity championship? Who came up with that? Do you know?
I imagine it was Gerald and Rob, and then back whenever Price Cutter came on like 25, 26 years ago. And it just kind of had
it's extremely fitting though.
So like I think there was
the charity championship.
It was the Nike Ozarks Open at one point.
Really?
So before Price Cutter actually got involved, it was the Ozarks Open. I know that Consumers was involved at some point, but Price Cutter supermarkets have been involved for 26 years now, and it's been the Price Cutter Charity Championship since then.
Yeah. So. I'm having flashbacks to Brad Beatty whenever we had him on. He was kind of, we were talking about that history.
He was
a
instrumental.
little bit.
Matter of fact, he was around back when the deal was cut. So that was an actually really good, insightful podcast with Brad.
We'll have Brad on some other time.
Yeah.
He's fun.
Speaking of Brad Beatty, how about the Springfield Cardinals wrapping up the first half?
Yeah.
They're going to make the playoffs after winning the first half. So
I did see that.
Shout out Springfield Cardinals.
That is really cool.
8 of their guys came out to the Cardinals Classic golf tournament, which was the first Price Cutter Charity Championship related golf event. And they came out and hit balls on the par threes and signed autographs. So they got to meet a lot of them. So it's kind of neat to Ian Bedell was there, the Mizzou pitcher, and he's actually got called up to Memphis, so he's on his way.
Saw that,
up,
yeah.
So
that is really cool. Did you have a chance to kind of interact with those guys a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, they were awesome because they were just standing around the tee boxes. I kind of drove around the course a little bit and made sure they were taken care of. But they were having a blast. They were having fun, and everybody was liking seeing them. So
the Hall of Fame is we're supporters of the Springfield Cardinals. We have season tickets. I had a really, really, I don't know, sad realization earlier this year whenever I went to a game. I was like, all these guys are younger than me. All these guys, they're all younger than me. Like they're 22, 23, 24 coming up through the minors. And it's crazy to just think.
It's because you're an old cat.
All right. We'll get back on track here. We said we'd talk Stanley Cup finals. We will. I didn't watch a single hockey game all season, but I did tune in. Yeah, on Monday night. I was kind of shaking a little bit. Who else? You watch it?
I didn't see it, but Game 7s in the playoffs are some of the best TV there is. I mean, I'm not a big hockey fan. I know that it's a lot better in person, but Game 7s are unbelievable. So
yeah, I mean, I think if you're the Oilers, you just can't get down 3-0.
Yeah, well, 100%.
Can't dig yourself a hole like that. So for them to even force a Game 7 was actually kind of incredible. But I think that's testament to how good Connor McDavid actually is. I mean, breaking Wayne Gretzky's assist record in the playoffs is just...
You're talking about, speaking of Tiger Woods and the GOAT, Wayne Gretzky is the GOAT as well.
It was the most assists in a single playoff.
In a single playoff. I believe it was either 34 or 35.
Wow.
Assists in playoffs.
Now, speaking of Gretzky, he has the most points in playoff history. And if you remove his goals from that, just the assists, he's still the leader in playoff points. Yeah. Crazy.
He's unbelievable.
I watched a little bit of it. I was at Texas Roadhouse and the game was on, so I watched some of it there. But everybody's told me that I should get into hockey. I'm a fan of almost every other sport, and watching that game, it was fun. I know the Florida Panthers went on a pretty incredible 8-seed run last year in the playoffs and fell short in the finals. And then, this year they capitalized and fortunately didn't lose that Game 7 because I didn't know this, but apparently teams have come back from 3-0 multiple times
in hockey.
I think they said
being a basketball fan.
I
didn't know it was possible.
Say that again?
I think they said 4-head. This would be the 5th one.
Yeah,
it
doesn't happen a lot. I know that baseball in the Red Sox in 2004, the first time they were down to the Yankees 3-0.
Oh,
and then they came back, beat the Yankees, and then that's the year they beat the Cardinals and broke the streak. But one of the things about the Stanley Cup I love about hockey is it doesn't matter. I mean, they played 7 games. They probably wanted to fight each other throughout, but at the end, they always have it's like Little League where they shake hands, and it's like a tradition. It's like you don't leave the ice until you shake the winning team's hand, even though you've just battled 7 games. So I think it's kind of a neat tradition that that NHL has, a Stanley Cup playoff. So
for sure. We talked about Tkachuk. Wasn't he I think he was an off-season get for Florida.
I don't know.
I don't think he was with them last year.
Matthew Tkachuk.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, I think that, and he might have, I mean, I'm not saying like he was the catalyst, but
he was one of their leaders this year. So.
Yeah, no, that's a huge, grab for them. And obviously now you're raising a Stanley Cup, so pays off pretty well. I want to get into hockey though. I don't quite understand like the offsides and the icing and all the stuff that the technicalities.
If I lived closer to St. Louis, I would love to have season tickets where you can go to Blues games. Right? Yeah. I mean, I've been when I was growing up in Indianapolis, minor league hockey. We would go and watch the Indianapolis Ice play, and in person, hockey is one of the most exciting sports.
Yeah,
to see it in person, it's hard to follow for me on TV because I don't see very well. But just following it, and I don't understand. It'd be like me going and watching Eli play rugby. It's cool looking, but I don't understand the rules yet. So, the icing, I don't know what icing is. I know it happens and it's kind of like offsides, but they have offsides as well. So I don't know the difference and all that. But
icing is like delay a game, basically.
I have no idea.
Something like that. Yeah. I'm just not.
I just know they call icing when they like send the puck down and nobody's past mid. Or something like that.
But what's offsides? I don't know. It's like cherry picking. Is that offsides? I don't know. It's same with soccer.
It's like you either have to bring it across or you have to pass it in front of the line to somebody that's behind it, something like that.
Yeah. Well, and like I said, you get the Game 7, and of course Monday night was a 2-1 game.
Yeah.
So you don't have a blowout. The game was never decided. It was tense all the way to the end because one goal and you're going to overtime. But there's nothing better than a sudden death game 7 to where the next goal and you win it.
Yeah.
So
for sure. Well, we've come to the end of our time. We've hit most of our topics, I think, but appreciate you guys joining us. It's kind of been fun.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having us, man.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get them back on maybe sometime. I don't know, before the internship's over.
Maybe the Tuesday after the tournament. Maybe we can.
Once we kind of can exhale and do all that. Next couple weeks are gonna be pretty crazy for us. We got a lot going on. We had a sponsors reception on Tuesday night, and there's just more events coming up and pro-ams, and so it'll be fun. Byron, anything for the people though?
Nope. We'll see you next week and throughout the next couple of weeks with all the Price Cutter Charity Championship activities.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of Price Cutter, check the podcast description below. Follow us across our social media platforms. New episodes every Wednesday, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. If you made it this far in the episode, leave a like, share it with a friend. We'd love to have new people here listening to us. And we'll catch you next time on another episode of Where the Game Lives On.